All right, cyber traders, good morning and welcome on back here this Friday to wrap up our week here this October 15th, shortly after 9 a.m. As I just said, welcome on back here for our morning meeting. Of course, for all of us in social media, as you could recognize, this is not Fausto's voice. My name is Josh Levitan. I'm the senior instructor here. For those that are not familiar, I typically do the afternoon meeting at least at 2:30. Great to see Leda, Brian, Grant, Terrell, Patrick, Skip, Zacharias, all of us live inside the Cyber Group room. And again, if you're joining us today on Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. So we got Fausto busy this morning. He's on a couple of calls and a couple of huge events later on today, including the Wealth 365 Summit. I feel like a lot of us are pretty familiar with the Wealth 365 conference at this point. They typically do them about like 3 or 4 times across the calendar year, if not even more. But it's just to say it's a whole expo of different educators and presenters out there within the industry. So Wealth 365, what you could actually do for that. I mean, Fausto is going to be on there later today at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can go right to the Wealth 365 website, summit.wealth365.com. You could join right away. But we got a nice active morning for us here, folks. So don't join right away. We got some money to make first. And then from that point, once you got the time, you could step on in. But, for the meanwhile, we have the LMFA trade to begin up 53.5+% right now. I guess you could say making a really strong recovery from this past week. I haven't really even noticed the stock up until this morning, of course. But really, I'm more so talking about this week's drop off. Looking at the daily chart, this stock got crushed from like 5 all the way down at 350. We haven't really been that focused on this stock up until now. So let's just take a look. See on Benzinga Pro if there's any news out on this stock. I don't really see anything in particular. Might just be a natural short squeeze, perhaps some of the big guys covering short or some options plays that could affect the stock itself, but no specific news. So needless to be said, hey, we're still going to put this on our watch list to begin. We don't need news in order to trade a stock, but if it ends up beginning to pull back, break below support, this stock has been a bit of a pop and drop type of stock historically. So, just because it's up in pre-market doesn't mean that it's going to continue to move up. We certainly hope that it does, but we'll see what happens on it. Brian says the options and today options expiration perhaps for it. Okay, so that could play in part with the move here so far. It's trading 7 million shares. So that's a lot for pre-market for any stock, let alone this. So yeah, for right now, we'll put this on our list to begin. I do want to talk about a couple of the stocks that we ended up trading from yesterday, and then from that point, we'll go across the gainers and losers list here. All right, so the OCGN wouldn't have found this on the gainers or losers list today, but ended up making a huge run up as soon as the market opened up yesterday, and then from that point, it just kept on going. Ended up beginning to continue to push up over time into the late morning, early afternoon. Broke off resistance off of 960. From there, took off pretty quickly up to 10. Shocked me when it ended up failing, or when it ended up not false breaking over 10. It just blew right over that level and then continued going up. So that took me by a bit of a surprise. Goes to show how strong the stock was altogether. Now, of course, it ended up pulling back going into the afternoon meeting yesterday. I was looking for the short, and I ended up taking a loss. Right place, wrong time. It ended up, just dropping off maybe about 5 or 10 minutes later into the close. One of our students, I think it was Charles or Chuck, one of you guys there, got 25 cents on it. Well worth it. So, it was a nice trade early in the morning into the early parts of the afternoon as a long. It was actually shortable yesterday. That's why I commented on that. And it allowed for a little bit of a drop going into the close. Now, it's hard to borrow this morning, but for right now, it's trading about 1 million shares so far in pre-market. If we feel a need to come back to this stock by the end of the meeting, after we go across the gainers and losers list, then we'll, reconsider. But I want to see if there's anything that's looking a lot better right now in terms of a trend or move up. ANY perhaps, beginning to pull back a bit here. It's up over 4% at least. But, this stock also from yesterday ended up making a really good move. It took a little while after the open to make the pop, but ended up making a really nice move from $7.80, $8, broke out, ended up making just about a 60-70 cent move up. Now, of course, ended up kind of pulling back 10:30 Eastern time. It topped off at, pulled back, reversed. Going into the close, we were hopeful for another squeeze up and, short-lived at the time. Going into the market open today, we'll talk more about Bitcoin, at least in the afternoon. But, ANY is a Bitcoin mining affiliated stock. So, I bring it up because it's not just ANY that's up this morning, but a couple of the others. BTCM, Bit mining is nearly 7.5%. BTBT, albeit pulling back right now, it's still up, on a gap up, 3+%. Another one here, HUT, spotty chart so far in pre-market, up nearly 5%. So it seems like a lot of these are moving up. Bitcoin obviously ended up pushing up near 60,000 overnight, and we'll talk all about that going into the afternoon at least. So, hey, A and Y, I wouldn't be surprised if I come back to, that at the end of the meeting, kind of like OCGN, and, put it on the list at the back end there. I want to talk about, I was going to show NRXP next. I'm looking at the morning watch list. I was going to show the NRXP trade at least because, that ended up making a really nice move for us at first. And then from there, completely died off going into the close. But, really what I want to talk about is the Tiger trade. So this one doesn't look as good in terms of its, overall move or direction across the afternoon. Ended up dropping off really nicely after the open. The stock was down 6-7% in pre-market. I don't remember the news at the time, just to kind of make good use of time or just kind of keep going. You don't need to know the news as to why the stock is down. You just need to follow the money, follow the big money. So it's just to say, as soon as the market opened up, unfortunately, this thing just dropped off. I mean, it didn't really even give us much of an opportunity to try and jump in on the short at first. Then it ended up giving us that chance. Once it broke below support at 850, ended up leading to a nice 50-60 cent drop off. Now, heading into the market open today, a quick little tip, and I bring this up because going back into the afternoon meeting yesterday, I'd mentioned this. Quick little learning lesson here, folks, because we don't always teach as much here in this meeting. And of course, inside our live trading room, we have Traders Talk, our weekly workshop there. But otherwise, it's all within our classes, the phase 1, 2, 3 curriculum. And this is more basic charting. So if you're joining us on social media or in the trading room, then this is probably something that you're aware of already, just in terms of how a major resistance could create a major support. So 760 yesterday, I lined up as a pretty strong historical level on the Tiger trade. Now, it hit the high here, ended up kind of false breaking it after, and then once it re-broke it the next time, you see what happened. So it's simply enough for me to say that, I was expecting 760 to be a big support level yesterday. Pretty close. At least in pre-market early, it ended up spiking down, then back up. So it's not to say it's that close to it now. At this point, it's back up to 8. But, we'll keep this in mind going into the market open. Again, kind of like the OCGN, kind of like the other one there, the A and Y. If this ends up making a bit of a move, by the time we finish up this meeting, then I'll put it on our main list. It's still shortable on TradeStation at least. All right, so we have a couple of other stocks moving right now, folks. What we'll do is go across the gainers and losers list. We'll see what else we got. The LMFA we already talked about. I guess we'll check back in on that. Just, to say not a whole lot happened since, but yeah, for right now, stock is making a pretty good move up towards 550, or it was trying to earlier. 550 you would assume to be a major resistance going into the market open, and 540 is holding right now on the chart too. So, watch level 3, see if there's an iceberg order at either of those prices, and see which one has the bigger order, if anything. The bigger the order, the bigger the level, you would imagine. So, we'll see what happens going into the open on the LMFA trade. Definitely on our watch list. Now, the SNOA trade. I remember the last time that we ended up trading the stock because you could see it on the daily chart. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I was doing the morning meeting that day too. I could check back, but it's to say that I definitely remember talking about this here. This SNOA trade is just, history repeats itself. So I'm sure at some point the stock's going to make a giant run up on the intraday, make like a 7-8 point move up or something like that. But looking across the last year and a half, look at all these giant red bars. What that indicates simply is that we ended up seeing a big move in pre-market, and then by the time the market opened up, the stock ended up dropping off, or maybe it popped up at first and then it totally tanked. So, this stock is a definite pop and drop stock, right? History repeats itself. And I said that back the last time we traded it, right here. So, for right now, definitely going to put this on our main list. I don't know the news that came out on this stock. And again, we're kind of just going to rip the gainers and losers list right now. But for right now, the stock dropping off already. We'll see if this could find some support, some home. And then from there, for it to push back up. Wouldn't shock me if it's right off of 7 at first. But otherwise, 650 would be, your next big level there. AIRI, I haven't seen this up until right now. So nice, cheap stock, good spread, 23,000 share order on the bid there. That's nice. All right, why not? If it ends up pulling back, though, after the open, ends up seeing more selling coming in on the time and sales leading into the open or right at the market open, then then I think there's a good chance it can go the other way. But for right now, this thing's looking pretty nice. Oh, I think what happened was really quick. CBD, this is like, gap up, 16% up, 298,000 shares traded, $5-6 stock. All of that sounds good, but I don't know. I feel like there could be other stocks that I could focus on more here. And what I was going to say was the ABVC trade. I don't know if it made a pop or if the AIRI was dropping off, I guess more, but I skipped over it. So ABVC, cheapy, kind of making the same move down as the SNOA perhaps, but I don't know. I mean, if this is what the chart looks like right now, of course, I could put it on our watch list because it wouldn't hurt us, right? I mean, $3 stock, good spread, good liquidity. So after the open, it wouldn't hurt you to watch it. It's not like it's going to make like a 30, 40 cent drop off on a 1 minute bar, or at least I highly doubt that, for the most part. So, we'll see what else we got. If there's a need to put this on our list, I've said that a lot, or I've said that about a bunch of different stocks so far this morning. The TMC is one that I feel more interested in, at least. So this one ended up making a nice move up after 8 o'clock. Like the others, this stock is cheap, has really good volume on the order book, but it's definitely a little bit more active in the trend in terms of its activity on the chart. The stock took a huge hit also going back into September, October time. So perhaps this stock could see a bit of a short squeeze today as the shorts look to potentially cover. So, TMC, I'll put this on the main one. ETCM, again, Bitcoin mining affiliated stock, spotty chart, pretty flat trend right now. Alcoa, pretty name brand stock. It's up 7%. I haven't checked the news on Alcoa or really much this morning, to be honest. It's kind of a lazy Friday from my end. But I'm going to check the news on specifically Alcoa because normally Alcoa is like one of the stocks known to begin the next wave of earnings season coming up. So if Alcoa is earnings here, this could be interesting for the next few weeks ahead. There we go. It's earnings. I'm not going to copy and paste. Lazy Friday, but I'll read at least. Alcoa shares trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q3 EPS and sales results. Company also announced a $500 million buyback and initiated a quarterly dividend of 10 cents per share. All right. Now, this is a little expensive. I mean, it's up 7%, trading a lot of volume in pre-market, but, I wish this was cheaper. So, listen, I'm not going to put it on the main list because of price. We have a lot of new traders joining us here and a lot of folks otherwise that, you're more focused, not to say on like the real inexpensive ones, but 20 and under, 25 and under. So, don't let this be a distraction to you. The time that you spend watching this or trading this on 20 shares, you could be trading a stock like TMC on 200 shares and making a lot more capital. Opportunity cost, folks. That's all. This scanner's been a pain in my butt all morning here doing that. All right, let's see what else we got. Alcoa. Here's the Bitcoin stocks here. HUT, BTBT, Riot, all in unison right there. CENX, aluminum stock. Yep, not much happening there. There's Mara. Love to see them up. ANY at this point, ANY, I wouldn't be, let's go back to it. Out of all the Bitcoin mining affiliated stocks, ANY definitely piques my interest the most. It's, still relatively inexpensive, great volume on the order book. I could say the same potentially on BBIG, potentially HUT as well, and BTBT too. But this one in particular, I'm going to put on the main list here. I'm a sucker for ANY right now. All right, we'll see what else we got on the loser side here, folks. Hey, good old space. How about this? I actually checked this out with a student in coaching yesterday, just randomly, and I said to him, I'm like, hey, at the end of the day on Bookmap, on your level 4 program, just check out stocks that you haven't even looked at all in the last, 24 hours, stocks that you didn't trade. You go back on it, review yourself, and the stock I randomly chose was space. So pretty coincidental to see the stock down 16% this morning. So the news out on space, Virgin Galactic shares trading lower. The company said the enhanced period for VMS, Eve, and VSS Unity, I guess that means they're rocket ships or whatnot, will begin approximately 1 month later than anticipated. That doesn't sound good. And commercial service is now expected to commence in Q4 2022. So it seems like just a big pushback on what they had anticipated. So it made a big drop off overnight and into this morning. But for right now, it's making a nice push, right? Pretty decent recovery, I have to say. Doesn't mean that it can't pull back down, but nice recovery on space at least. We'll put this on the main list for sure. Let's see what else we got here. TRQ shortable. It's down big, but very thin volume on the book. I'm going to pass on this. BWEN, cheapy. Hey, let's go to this one really quick. We talked about this in the afternoon, and to be transparent, I ended up working on PowerPoints most of the afternoon. I really didn't trade. So what happened to this going into the close? It was at the high, so we were watching it. We had it on our list. It did pull back. Like I said, if it ends up breaking a local support, perhaps it could make a nice short. I'm not going to say this was a nice short because it only dropped off like 10 cents for a $3 stock. But, if anything, I mean, it's still pretty tradable. Spotty chart this morning, though. We're going to pass on it at least so far. All right, folks, I think that's just about all you got from me here so far across the gainers and losers list. If there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5% that you would want me to check out, just type it in the chat board. Let me know. Got Charles Z in the chat board here in Cyber Group. He says he made just about $1 profit. We'll kind of do some quick math and say about 90 cents on the trade. He got on Mara from 44.69 out at 45.47. Nice. Let's go to that one. So you had it from 44.69. So maybe a swing or, whatever it may be. It just got out, took profit, or maybe jumped in at 8 o'clock. Either way, but ended up getting out with a decent chunk of money there. Nice catch. All right, folks, let me know if there's anything that you got. I don't really have anything on Benzinga Pro. I'll run a quick scan here otherwise, but I think that we did a pretty good job. The Bitcoin stocks are on the side list. They're definitely, tradable and volatile in a good way. So, I'm putting ANY in particular on the list. But hey, if you're Charles and you trade Mara more frequently, then trade Mara. Put it on your personal list. If you trade Riot, if you trade BTBT, and you make money on those stocks more often than not in particular, then, I'm sure that you're going to be more focused on those. So there's going to be a lot more outside of this list that will end up making a bit of a move up or down, folks. Start with this list and start with any stocks that you feel really good about from your side list first. And then otherwise, once the market opens up, I'll jump back on the mic here. If there's any other call outs that I have from Benzinga Pro, I'll probably wait on that for till about like 9:45, maybe even 10 o'clock. Again, this watch list is going to be good enough. We're going to be pretty occupied with space and ANY and TMC and SNOA, that crazy one, and the LMFA and the others. So, aside from that, folks, I'll be back on the mic for all of us on social media, at least Facebook Live, YouTube, later on in the afternoon at 2:30 in my normal slot. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. Send over a quick email right to my email address, josh@c2trading.com. For all of us there in the trading room right now, Kathleen, Brian, Grant, Charles, congrats again. Wayne, Bell, Wendy, Dean, Norman, and all of us otherwise. I look forward to talking to you folks coming up at 9:30. Take care.